Sometimes we hear stories about exceptional faith. Sometimes things happen that make us wonder how God could let such horrible things happen. For example, God allows the deceiver himself to lay all sorts of afflictions upon the biblical character of Job. Many are unaware that the book of Job is actually the oldest book in the Bible. Some might overlook that the book of Job is technically classified as Hebrew poetry. Unlike the poetry we are used to, rhyming is not its measure, but finding parallels. The story of Job touches on an important parallel still important today: the suffering of righteous people. Why it happens? Is it fair? Is it just? Is it punishment? Most of us have no problem with the idea of those who are unrighteous suffering, but how can it be that a loving God would allow his own people to suffer? Or people at the wrong place at the wrong time being destroyed? These are the times we need God the most, but sometimes he is elusive. Job does not give us an intellectual reason for why the righteous suffer. In fact, in a macabre scenario, the deceiver approaches God and asks for permission to break Job down until he curses God. This further compels us to wonder why God would allow our torment. But we do get a spiritual answer. In a series of 4 attacks, Job loses everything real in his life: wealth, health, loved ones, to a degree his sanity. Somehow, despite his grumbling, Job kept his faith. God finally revealed himself to Job and taught him. Don't question why you must suffer. Just trust my sovereignty that my will is done. God rebuked all the friends and naysayers that pushed Job mentally and physically to go another way. In the end, Job was restored to his former health, wealth, and glory. The lesson of Job appears at many times throughout history, real-life history. One can't help but see parallels in the story of the sinking of the USS Indianapolis during World War II, one of the worst shipwrecks and sinkings in U.S. naval history, as well as perhaps the most deadly shark attack in history. Only later, after the paperwork was declassified, did the public learn of the Indianapolis's top-secret high-speed mission in July of 1945 to deliver parts of what would be constructed into the Little Boy nuclear bomb that would destroy Hiroshima, Japan. They made record time delivering the bomb components to the island of Tinian. Then they set sail under cover of darkness for the Philippines to receive routine maintenance. Whether the nearing of the end of the war had everyone's guard down or military protocol slipped, no escort was provided for the ship to cross the Southern Ocean. Only days before, action between the U.S. and Japanese navies had in fact taken place nearby. At 12:15 a.m. on July 30th, 1945, the Indianapolis was torpedoed by at least one Japanese submarine, I-58. The Indianapolis sank in under 12 minutes. Of 1,195 crewmen, 300 went down with the ship. The remaining 890 ended up in the water, facing combinations of shock, third-degree burns, being covered in oil slick, exposure, dehydration, and when the sun came up, a new horror none could have imagined. Shark attacks. Many shark attacks. Imagine surviving a shipwreck in the first place, getting a life vest or a place on a raft or net, clearing the fuel from your eyes, only to begin seeing the survivors in the water with you picked off by sharks. Surely there is no God. As night became day, hope that the most advanced military on earth knew about her sailors in the water and would come, only they didn't. The top-secret nature of their mission, carrying parts for the bomb that would destroy Hiroshima, meant radio silence. What kept men hanging on to life? Some went insane, drank the salt water, began flailing about, kicking and screaming more, attracting yet more sharks, now picking off men by the hour. Somehow, some men held on to hope, stayed calm, didn't hang too close to the group, didn't get lost in conversations that wouldn't bear fruit. Day turned to night, and again. Some men started with great faith, but how long can it last? After 4 days, a Navy PV-1 Ventura finally saw some of the survivors floating in the sea below. The rescues took additional days. Only 395 men survived out of the 890 that landed in the water. Survivors attribute the deaths to a wide range of factors, not the least of which were the shark attacks. Any one of the many events these soldiers faced were once-in-a-lifetime experiences. They endured them all. One wonders if the Congressional Gold Medal awarded in 2018 was any consolation. What of the faith of the survivors? Many experienced the common phenomenon of survivor's guilt. Why me? When all my comrades died. Did any of them cling to God? If so, how? Many clung to hope, the hope of rescue, the hope of eventual survival. What good did their pride in the flagship of the Pacific Fifth Fleet do for them now? Their training would say quite a bit. What of the fact that they delivered the components that would end up killing hundreds of thousands of civilians? Was the cruelty of the sinking just retribution? There are the impossible questions of personal faith, where one may find unshakable hope in God's guiding hand, while others start the race strong and lost hope, while others start hopeless and find their God along the path. Most of the survivors still alive today do believe in God. They often say they hope they have lived up to the mandate of their survival. John Gramosiak was quoted in a 2003 article saying, "No matter what you're doing, if you give up hope or lose faith, well, you're just not going to make it." This can easily remind one of the old adage, "There are no atheists in foxholes," or in 1,800-meter deep ocean near the Marianas Trench, teeming with sharks. The point of the video is hard. The question is hard. What would we do? How would we react in these situations? We would like to think we would be brave and strong with unwavering faith, Yet we cannot know until we are there. We would like to believe that we would be the hero that would help guide others through. But we can't even be sure that we would guide ourselves through. All of this is designed to remind us to desperately cling to God in all things. We're not as strong as we think we are. We're not as advanced as we think we are. True faith in God means we are as babes. Our faith in God is complete. Our trust in God is complete. And God's will be done.